guys, welcome to Bastion Time. I am your host Bastion. This is Nintendo News. This video is going to be a little bit different than it's been for over a year now. If you've been a long-time viewer of this channel, you might know that back when I originally started it, I would just do one video a week, and that video would have all of the Nintendo news in it all at once, and it'd be long. As you can probably tell, this video is pretty long, so as you guessed it, we're returning to the roots to see how that goes for a week or so. So bear with me. If you do not like these really long videos, let me know in the comments down below. If you'd rather see more daily, shorter videos, the way that it's been for the past couple years, let me know that in the comments down below. This is just an experiment. We'll see how this week goes, but yeah, as you can guess, that would mean that there would be no other videos appearing on this channel until a week from now. So in any case, with that preamble out of the way, let's get to the first story. Our first story is a very amusing comic from DORKLY about Pokemon, and it is the 10 Commandments of Pokemon. And if you've played any Pokemon, and I'm sure if you're watching this you must have, pretty funny stuff. You definitely want to check this comic out. There's a link in the description. Our next story is about the producer of Super Mario Maker explaining why exactly is some of that stuff time-locked. So if you've played Super Mario Maker yet, you'll know that when you first start playing it, you do not have access to all of the different art styles and all of the different items and whatnot, and that over time, chronological actual time, you're eventually given more and more tools, and a lot of us have wondered why did they do it that way, and the reason is kind of interesting. They said that they didn't want to overwhelm people when they first started playing because there's so many options, so many tools. They just wanted to limit it a little bit so that way you wouldn't feel too overwhelmed, and they've learned that in modern gaming people like to unlock stuff. They like to eventually have access to more things, and so they felt like this was like a reward system. Oh, you've been playing for X number of days, here, have another tool. So it makes sense to somebody like me who just really wants all the tools all at once and just get in there and make a crazy, huge, amazing level with everything. You gotta wait for that. And I guess that makes sense. It's like a learning process. Speaking of Super Mario Maker, you'll know that in the game there are costumes which make you look like characters from other franchises, and some people who've been delving into the code have found out that there is some costume data for some very unusual things. Some characters make absolute sense. Other characters, or not even characters, but just objects like the Windows logo, makes no sense at all. So these might just be placeholders that the developers were using just for giggles when they were making the game and just forgot to take it all out, or they might actually be implementing some of these characters. If you want to find out specifically which character costumes they are, there's a link for you in the description. So the president of Sony, who is notorious for not really saying much that's positive about Nintendo, did in an interview recently say that he does have a second console besides PlayStation 4, and it is the Wii U, and he enjoys playing it with his children. So that's pretty cool, but you might notice that little twist there at the end. He enjoys playing it with his children. I feel like the only reason why he talked about it is to try to go with the traditional line of, see, Nintendo consoles are for kids. So I still think it's kind of a dig at Nintendo, but I'll take it. Our next story is about Unreal Engine 4 and the fact that a fan has recreated some Majora's Mask stuff in it. And last week I had a video where I talked about Unreal Engine 4, and plenty of you had questions about what exactly Unreal Engine 4 is, and I never explained it in that video, so I will try my best to explain it, but I'm no expert. But basically it's a game engine that's been developed that is, you can utilize it if you're an indie developer, or even if you're a big-time developer at a major third-party studio, to create games. And so it's already got a lot of the programming done. It's nothing like a Super Mario Maker where everything is done for you and you just gotta drag and drop stuff, but you don't start from scratch when using Unreal Engine 4 is basically the thing. And so some people out there with programming skills have been utilizing it to create their favorite games in a more high-def sort of engine. But in any case, this one is about Majora's Mask stuff. If you want to watch the video, there's a link in the description. Our next story is about Groose from Skyward Sword and the origin of his name. And as many of you have guessed, Groose sounds an awful lot like goose, and he does have like this funny plumage, birdish pompadour thing going on the front of his hair, and that is with intent. His original name in Japanese, forgive me, I always mutilate these pronunciations, is Bado, which I guess means bird in Japanese, and so that's the point, is he looks kind of like a bird. They were just gonna call him Bird in the American version though, or Bado for that matter, so they were trying to think of various types of birds that have names that kind of sound like a bird name, and thus we have Groose, because it sounds like goose, which sounds like Bruce, so now we know. So Pokemon Center in Japan sells official Pokemon stuff, and usually the stuff is normal, like Bulbasaur plushies and whatnot. Now, however, you can buy Pokemon butts. Yeah, so I don't know. You can buy them as keychains or as plushies. Why anybody would specifically want a Pokemon butt, I don't even want to begin to imagine, but you can buy it if you want to. We've seen some recreations of Mario Kart carts in real life, and usually they're like kitty sized and the person's all like squished up in the cart. In this instance though, somebody wanted to build a cart that was actually life-sized, that fully depicts like how the size of it would be with an actual human adult, and it looks pretty cool, and I definitely want to ride it. If you want to check out more pictures of it, there's a link for you in the description. Our next story comes from Did You Know Gaming, and they put out a whole video about Twilight Princess. And yeah, there's tons of stuff from Twilight Princess that you may or may not know. Things like basically the entire first trailer that Nintendo released, none of that stuff ended up making it into the game. I remember watching that first trailer when it first came out and being so amazed that this was what the next Zelda game was going to be, and then eventually when I played that game thinking, this is really nothing like that trailer that I saw. But in any case, if you want to watch Did You Know Gaming's video about Twilight Princess, there's a link for you in the description. If on your way to school you're worried that some falling boulders are tumbling down on you from Death Mountain and you need to protect your back, you can get this special HYLIAN shield backpack from THINKGEEK. It's pretty awesome. If I were a kid, I would 100% want this for my school backpack. In fact, you know what, let's be real here, I kind of want it right now regardless. So we'll see. I'll keep you updated as far as whether I buy it or not. But if you want to check it out or buy it or whatever, there's a link in the description. Our next story comes from DORKLY, yet another comic, but this one a Zelda one. It's pretty amusing. It's all the different Zeldas from the different games being invited to, I guess, a party together, and then one shows up that nobody's too pleased to see. You'll have to check it out. It's pretty amusing. There's a link in the description. That is it for this week in Nintendo News. See you guys next week for another episode of This Week in Nintendo News. But again, let me know in the comments what you think about just one video a week being this long and whatnot. I'll take your feedback and put that into consideration for next week. See you guys then. Bye.